Welcome back to the Buck Brief. David Harsanyi in the mix, our friend who is a senior editor at The Federalist. Got great pieces up at thefederalist.com. David, I want to jump right into it. The democracy versus republic debate. Libs are upset about this, that we keep saying it's a republic, not a democracy. But then why do they care and keep saying it's a democracy, not a republic? I feel like they want to have it both ways. But what's really at the heart of this argument that is breaking out in the media, at least in this election year?
Well, CNN sent this reporter down to some Trump event to try and embarrass, Trump supporters who can't explain the difference with political science, specifically what the difference and distinction is. So I found it interesting because the guy who was doing it said that, there's a debate, some people say we're a direct democracy, but
well,
I think
which we definitely are not. Right? That is definitely not the case. Yeah.
No debate. So yes, democracies use the shorthand, right? People have used it for a long time to explain what I think at least are like constitutional ideas, self-determination, individual rights, things like that. But I've noticed in the last few years, they get mad when you use republic because they are actually quite majoritarian now that they think they have the upper hand. So they want to get rid of the Electoral College. They want to get rid of the filibuster. They don't like the idea of two Senate seats for each state. They want, and stuff like that. So they want a direct democracy that's very centralized and very powerful. So I think it's about time that people start calling it a republic, which we are, and not a democracy, which means a lot of things. So I don't know why they get mad. I mean, I do know why they get mad, because you're being more specific about what you believe in. We have a lot of non-democratic, anti-majority or counter-majoritarian institutions as well, and people don't respect them anymore, like the Supreme Court, for instance. So anyway, that's what I think it's.
Well, I think we have. Well, also, whenever they bring up the Electoral College, if they lose, the Electoral College is a vestige of a bygone era of exploitation, and there's no reason for the continuation of this. They basically want to eliminate the notion of federalism and the power of states, and they're pretty open about that.
Yeah, states created the United States, not the reverse. And they don't care, honestly. They don't care what the Constitution says or why we're here. But so I wrote this piece about it, and I just explained why I think there is a distinction, and it's okay to say republic. And and the blowback on it is immense. And you know why? I think it's because their entire case for this election, because everything is about Trump, right? You can't mention anything that isn't about Trump to them. The whole election's about saving democracy, which can mean whatever they want it to mean. So they don't like the idea that you might be more specific about what we're talking about. When Biden just does the student loan thing, for instance, he's undermining actually what democracy is about here. But they want to include that sort of thing in democracy. So that's, I think, at least what makes them so mad about this debate.
It is also, I don't know, maybe we could say it's ironic, where it's just there's something bizarre about they're upset that they think Trump is a threat to democracy, and particularly right now because all the polls have him leading against Joe Biden in the upcoming Democratic election. You know what I'm saying? Like, the threat to democracy is the guy who's going to win democratically. I know that's theoretically possible, but really.
Well, that's the thing. It's just Calvin ball. I mean, when Dobbs came out and they overturned Roe v. Wade, they literally overturned the undemocratic, unilateral abortion law that the court made and allowed people to vote on it. And that too is against democracy. So in essence, you can't really win with them. But I do think there is, an underlying problem where they think that just because 51% of people want to tell you what to do, that's fine. I think that a lot of people who don't pay close attention believe that now. That's why they hate the Electoral College and stuff. And it's very dangerous, because I don't care if 51% of people make me do something or 1% of people make me do something. If it's authoritarian. And I think a lot of progressive ideas are authoritarian, So I think it's an important debate to have. And I don't think we should give in, because they mock us for saying republic.
Well, this is also why I thought the experience of COVID was so both illuminating and terrifying, because they, by whatever it was, I don't know if it was even a majority, but enough Americans went nuts that they made people do manifestly insane things as a matter of policy with the backing of the state. And that is what happened.
Now, that was the most eye-opening and dangerous moment in American history so far, in the sense of our liberty, is the way we just gave in and let them shut down a church, or let them, keep us in our homes, or destroy our businesses because they told us most people wanted that, or help, for the common good. That is everything. I think someone, and they were demagogues, and scaremongers. I think that's everything Madison was worried about in like Federalist 10,
Have you seen Fauci, by the way, going on? He actually said, in response to there are people who want to lock you up, he said, "What am I guilty of? Saving millions of lives." He actually said that. It's true.
Yeah, he's something else. He wants to have it both ways, where I have no power, but also I'm saving all these lives. Well, either you had the power and everyone listened to you and did what you said, or you didn't save any lives, right? It can't be both ways, and he didn't save any lives anyway. But.
Yeah, I'm. To me, it's such a test of wisdom, whether you have any or not. Somebody who still thinks that Fauci is worth listening to at all, they are completely lacking in introspection, judgment, and wisdom. Like it's gone beyond the like, oh, I kind of understand how some people could get fooled by this guy. Like now you're willfully in the cult. He's the cult leader. He's got like 30 Maybachs or whatever parked out back with his cult members' money, but you're still praying to the guy. Like that's kind of where Fauci is for me. So I find him loathsome beyond words. I'm going to come and ask you in a second, David, about what you think's gonna. Let's talk about the debate that's coming up, because by the time people see this over the weekend, we'll just be a few days out from it, and just what you see happening with the race so far. But first up, I'm a gun guy. David actually wrote a very good book about guns, by the way, which I'd recommend everybody go check it out. But I like firearms. I got a whole bunch of them here at home, including my 3 most recent firearms from Bear Creek Arsenal. Bear Creek Arsenal is a phenomenal firearms maker. They make high quality, incredibly well-priced guns, handguns, rifles, upper receivers, you name it. They're all American, based here in Sanford, North Carolina. And the more people find out about them and buy their guns, I'm telling you, the more they love this firearms manufacturer. They offer a wide range of premium calibers, a fraction of what the competition has. And Bear Creek Arsenal has no middleman fee, so they're passing the best possible prices on to you. I love my Bear Creek Arsenal Grizzly. It's a phenomenal sidearm that I carry when I'm out at the range. Great for home defense, great for use at the range, feels really good in your hands. And the BC-15 is a really top-tier AR that can go toe-to-toe with the most expensive AR-15s in the market. So learn more about Bear Creek Arsenal at bearcreekarsenal.com/buck. Use promo code BUCK for 10% off your first order. That's bearcreekarsenal.com/buck. Promo code BUCK for 10% off your first order. I think this debate could matter a lot or could matter very little. And I know that kind of gives me a tremendous amount of wiggle room, but to me, it's all dependent on how it goes down, right? I mean, how do you see it as we're now just days away from Biden having to stand and speak without handlers for 90 minutes?
I'm with you, actually. I think it could go either way dramatically almost, or very non-dramatic, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think there's a danger there for Republicans, actually, in the sense that Biden's been so incoherent lately, and there's all this video of him acting in a way that an 80-year-old one will act sometimes, that expectations are so low that all he has to do is be basically coherent to be impressive, right? So I think that's dangerous. But also, I mean, it could be that he does have a bad day. As we know, sometimes, people that age or in decline have a good day, and sometimes they don't. If he has a bad day, that could just reinforce what people see with their own eyes, and that could be terrible for him. So, I mean, it could go either way. I don't think it's going to be a really like heavy policy debate or anything, because I'm not really sure what they can do. They can talk about their accomplishments, and I think, for the most part, obviously, people remember the Trump year as pretty, other than the COVID part, as pretty successful, I think.
Yeah, I think that on the economic front, it's very hard for Biden to come up with much to say. I mean, I've noticed that now they've started to push more heavily, the different mouthpieces that they have, whether in the media or out of the White House, on the, you think prices are high, but prices actually aren't high. Or, you think that wages and buying power is down because of inflation, but like, it's actually not down. You know what I mean? They're having to resort to the things that you think are bad in the economy aren't as bad as or rather, they're less bad than you think they are. That seems to be some of what I'm seeing as the messaging, which to me does not strike as a winning message.
I mean, they're column after column telling people how crazy to believe that prices are there's inflation. And then they do this year-to-year comparison and pretend things are going great. Well, there's compounding inflation. It's not like, inflation is not growing as much and all of a sudden prices are where they were 5 years ago. People aren't stupid. I don't even know what's going on with prices. I just hand over my credit card. And even I notice when I go to the supermarket, I'm like, that's insane, and I think that is the biggest issue. So and here's the thing I think Trump needs to bring up, I'm not sure he will, is that it could have been avoided if they hadn't they hadn't done all that spending coming out of the COVID, thing. So it's a self-inflicted economic problem. And I think Trump needs, if he needs to hammer that. Yeah.
What do you make of the polling, the most recent polling that shows that Trump is within 8 points in New York, that he's in striking distance in Minnesota? Is this, is this just like a moment of ebullience, perhaps overconfidence from Republicans, or do you feel like there's just no way that Joe Biden can actually win in a free and fair election against this guy at this point?
I should preface this by I'm not a polling expert. I kind of ignore them most of the time, but I have to say this. I think that they don't seem real to me. I don't buy that he's within 8 in New York. I'm sorry. I don't buy that the African-American votes shifted that much. I'm not saying it's not true. I have a hard time buying all that stuff. I know that Trump voters have been undercounted in many elections, but I have to say the last midterm Republican votes were way overcounted. So, we thought there was going to, they were going to run the table in 2022, and it was pretty much a disaster for Republicans, really. So I don't know. I would be very cautious. In the end, votes are all that matter, not polls. And as each election goes on, I'm more and more dubious. I feel more and more dubious about what they're telling me. So I don't know is the answer to that, but if I was a Republican, I would be a bit nervous. Now, also national polls to me, people repeat, they don't mean anything. But when you look at state polling, obviously Trump's competitive because Biden's been a complete failure, So that's the upside part.
Have you ever met it? I mean this honestly. I know you live in roughly the DC area, right? So, you come across people all over the place. I can say this, and maybe it's just because I live increasingly in this very extreme right wing bubble. I don't know. Where everyone that I deal with, my dentist is right wing, my accountant is right wing. I go to the butcher where I know the guy's a veteran who's right wing. Maybe I don't. So I'm self-effacing about this. I have not met though a single Democrat who will look me in the eyes and be like, I'm really a Joe Biden person, and I think he's done a great job. Every Democrat I know will say that Trump is awful and I hate him and all that stuff. Sure, right? Have you met a Democrat who has been willing to make the case to you, or the real case to you, that Joe Biden is an exceptionally strong president?
No. I mean, I've written about this, and not just that. There's an excitement around Obama. I thought he was one of the worst presidents ever, but there was this excitement about him, his personality, it appealed to people. There's an excitement around Trump. People who like Trump really love the guy. And you saw that with Clinton, Reagan, even with W, in a way. I don't feel that at all with Biden. I just don't think people are excited about him for obvious reasons. You don't see the bumper stickers, you don't see the signs. I've never met anyone who said man, I'm a big Joe Biden guy, because he doesn't really stand for anything. He just stands for not being Trump. And that's
I don't know.
This election's going to come down.
It feels like that's just not, there's no way that could be enough this time. Although I after 2020 and 2022, I feel like I need to be prepared for the absolute disappointment that can come with these things. So we'll see. Mr. Harsanyi, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for your insights. And we will go check out David's latest at thefederalist.com. And we'll see you all again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.